What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another scooter video. My name is Chase Ross, and in today's tutorial I'm going to be teaching you guys how to bar spin. Hold up, I know I already made a how to bar spin video. That video is still packed with all kinds of tips and tricks to help you guys bar spin the best way possible. But over the last 4 years of riding and coaching, I've definitely picked up a few more tips that I want to share with you guys. So now, without any more hesitation, let's get into bar spins. In this first step, we're going to focus on figuring out if we're goofy or regular. This is going to determine which hand and which way we spin the bars. If you're goofy, like me, and your toes point to the left when you stand on your scooter, you're going to be using your right hand to spin the bars around. Now vice versa, if you're regular and your toes point to the right when you stand on your scooter, you're going to be using your left hand to spin the bars around. Now that we know if we're goofy or regular, and which we now know is also going to determine which way we throw our bars, let's talk about hand placement. So when we normally hold onto our scooter, we hold onto it like this. Our hands are equally balanced on our grips. But for bar spins, what we want to do is slightly cheat our hand that's going to be throwing the bars towards the middle of our bars. I like to use my fingers as like a good measure, so where the grip stops, I usually throw my first index finger over top of the metal of the bar. That way I can get a nice good flick on the bar when it goes around. Now regarding foot position on our deck, we're going to want to have our feet back as far as we possibly can on the back part of our deck. Now if you stand goofy, you're going to have your left foot all the way back against your brake, and if you're regular, you're going to have your right foot all the way back against your brake, and then your front foot's just going to hover between your back foot and the neck of your deck, right about here. At this point, I'm going to go ahead and assume that you guys already have a little bit of scooter control down, or at least at bare minimum already know how to bunny hop. If you guys don't know how to bunny hop yet, definitely click the link in the upper right hand corner and it'll take you guys right to my how to bunny hop tutorial. But now, back to bar spins. Let's talk about the next step. Let's now go ahead and stand with both feet locked on each side of the scooter, so your bars should be able to stand perfectly up and down just like this. From this point, what we're going to do is we're just going to practice the motion of a bar spin. Now, the motion of a bar spin is pretty simple because all you're doing is just rotating the bars a full 360 degrees around and then catching it with your other hand as it comes around. Now, the way we're going to do this is we're going to make an L with our throw hand. So for me, because I am goofy, I'm going to be using my right hand. From this point, I'm going to use the L right here, the little pocket in that L, and I'm going to be rotating the bars around. While we do this, we kind of want to scoop the hand under the bar to pull it around. The reason we scoop the hand under the bar is because in the future when we're in the air, it's going to help lock it into our feet so our scooter doesn't get away from us. Now what we're going to be doing with our opposite hand, which is not the throw hand, we're going to be hovering it right above the bar, getting ready to catch it as it comes around. This hand should not be in the way of the bar spin at all. If you guys notice that you're getting it like halfway around but you're like snagging your hand on the bars, that means you don't have your hand far enough away from the bars. So again, making the L, you're going to put it on the grip, you're going to cheat in just a little bit. You're going to start to rotate it around, lifting up, keep that hand off the bar, snatch that bar spin as it comes around. Now another great thing that you guys can do if you guys don't want to stand with your scooter right between your feet like this, you can move your scooter wheel off a ledge just like this, stand on your scooter, that way you can actually practice the rotation of the bar freely, that way your front wheel is not touching anything and you can actually feel like you're standing on your scooter practicing the bar spin motion. This step is going to be the most important one, so pay close attention. What we're going to be doing in this step is we're going to bring our back foot onto our scooter. While we do this, we want to make sure that we keep our core tight and keep our foot on the ground nice and balanced to where we can just lift our scooter back and forth like this, no problem. Once we've got that down, now we can start actually adding the bar spin. So like in the previous step where we practiced the motion, just spinning it around a whole bunch, what we're going to do now is we're going to lift it up in the air and we're going to try to keep the bar spin up in the air while the back part of our deck back here is glued to our foot, just like that. Now what I want you guys to do at home is practice this motion over and over again. You're gonna lift it up, all in one motion, do the bar spin, push it back to the ground. If you guys can do this step successfully over and over and over again, you're gonna have no problem doing it in the air. Now a quick pointer I want to add in this step is making sure that you're keeping your hand under the bar spin so it stays glued to your foot. It's a very common problem that as people do the bar spin, the deck just doesn't like stay glued to the foot. So the best way to fix that is to give upward pressure on your throw hand the entire way around on the bar spin. So lift it all up, keep that hand up there. If you can do this all the way around, twisting it around, keeping that foot glued to the deck, you're gonna be able to bar spin no problem. We are getting so close to going outside and sending our very first bar spin. So in this step, we're going to combine all the steps that we just went over into one. So right here, what we're going to do is we're going to roll forward, hop off our scooter with one foot just like we were doing before, do that bar spin motion, and then hop back on our scooter. This is very similar to my step kick catch motion in my how to tail whip tutorial. So if you guys got a nice flat driveway, you can practice this back to back to back. You're going to roll forward, hop off, bar spin, hop back on. While we're practicing this step, if we ever notice that we're getting snagged on our shirt or hitting our hip as we do the bar spin, we want to make sure that we're making a C with our body. And by that, I mean literally make a C with your body. We're going to push our butt out. That way we have plenty of clearance for the bar spin. So again, we're going to foot plant, kick that booty out, lift up in the air, bar spin, just like that. We no longer have to worry about catching our shirt on the bars. I do want to mention, as you guys are doing this motion, hopping off your scooter and throwing that bar spin, make sure you're leaning forward. That way you're not looping out when you're practicing it. And as well, it's going to build up good muscle memory, especially when it comes to actually sending the bar spin. So when you go to send your very first bar spin, you want to get a nice, solid preload, just like you normally would when you do a bunny hop. And then from this point, once you've started to spring up in the air, that's when you start the bar spin. You bar spin when you get to the peak, and as you're coming down, that bar spin should be coming around, and you should be able to spy your landing and absorb it just like when you do a normal bunny hop. So all in one, it's going to look like this. All right, with all that being said, you guys are now ready to go out and fully send your first bar spin. But real quick, before you guys head out of here, let me leave you guys with a couple extra tips and tricks and a couple common questions that I get asked when trying bar spins for the first time. Question number 1, are my bars too big for me? This is a question I get asked all the time, and I have a very simple answer to it. Does your scooter feel too big for you? Or vice versa, does it feel too small for you? A good way to measure is to make sure that your width of your bars is not wider than your shoulders. Now, if you are one of those riders that like to ride your bars super wide, fair game. It's gonna make bar spins a little bit harder, but in the long run, it'll give you some more leverage when maybe trying some kicklesses and stuff like that. Now, as far as height goes, I always like to put it around my belt or maybe just below it. That's always a good spot for me. Now for you, it might be a little bit taller, it might be a little shorter. That's for you to find your happy range. But I would definitely make sure that your bars are the right size for you. I cannot even count how many times I've coached young riders where their bars are just too tall for them. Their bars are like up to their chest or even worse, up to their chin, or maybe they're really wide and they're like, they couldn't even like back up enough to even get the bars around. So I would recommend for starting out, maybe get a little bit smaller bars just so you can get the bar spins around a little bit easier. From there, you can make the bars a little bit wider and a little bit taller until you get to a point at which it feels really comfortable. Question number 2, why do my feet keep coming off the scooter when I do the bar spin? This is a super common issue that a lot of new riders have when they're learning bar spins. The most important thing that you guys can do to prevent that from happening is putting a little bit of upward pressure, like I talked about earlier in the tutorial. As you're doing the bar spin, keep that upward pressure from your hand as you do the bar spins all the way around. That way it stays nice and glued to your foot. Common question number 3, why can't I get the bar spin all the way around? There's going to be 2 main reasons for this. Reason number 1, you're not jumping high enough. You want to make sure that your bunny hop is getting at least like 6 inches off the ground. Now reason number 2, are you moving your hands fast enough? A lot of times riders do the bar spins either too slow or too like nervously. So what I would recommend from that point is just going back and working on really getting that bar spin around nice and fluently. That way you can keep doing it over and over again. So when it comes to actually full on sending it in a bunny hop, you're gonna have no problem and it's gonna be muscle memory and it's gonna come around just fine. Common question number 4, why do I keep snagging my shirt and or hitting my side? For starters, I would definitely make sure that you are wearing a tight t-shirt. If you're wearing a baggy hoodie with something that is like has a kangaroo pouch on the front, it's gonna be a lot more likely to snag that bar spin as it comes around. So again, wear a nice fitted t-shirt, maybe something like this nice Raptor shirt right here where it's fitted to the body. It's great for scootering, it's lightweight, and okay, I'm not gonna plug that anymore. You guys get the point. But besides your clothing, another thing you can do is really make sure that you're making a C with your body. You want to be able to kick that booty back a little bit. That way your hips and everything are out of the way when you actually do the bar spin. If you notice that you keep hitting your side as you do the bar spin, you definitely don't have your hips far enough back on the scooter. Common question number 5, why do I keep landing on my back wheel and looping out? This is going to be probably the number 1 thing I tell every rider in every session I ever coach. You got to lean forward. If you're not leaning forward and you're leaning back, you are not committing to the trick. If you're not committing to the trick, you're gonna loop out every single time. A good way to check to see if you're committing is you can record yourself while doing a bar spin, and if you notice your back wheel is hitting the ground first, that means you're probably not committing enough. Do it again, try to lean forward a little more, and see if you can get both your front and back wheel landing at the exact same time. Now, with all that being said, that's going to go ahead and wrap it up for today's bar spin tutorial. I hope you guys are now one step closer, or maybe landed your first bar spin by the end of this video. If you guys did, make sure to give me a big old thumbs up and smash that subscribe button if you guys are not yet subscribed to my YouTube channel. I put a lot of effort into these videos so you guys can learn the fastest and quickest way possible. But until the next one, guys, later.